What is up, guys? My name is Mihai Bratu and welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. Now I know I haven't posted a video in a long time, but about a month ago I finally got my hands on an iPhone 4 running iOS 4.2.1. So now that I think about it, why don't I actually do a review on it? I'm going to be reviewing iOS 4 basically and its usability. Now, usually the devices that do run this are, of course, the iPod second generation, and I will be cross comparing the iOS 4, use on the iPhone 4 and the iPod 2G, and you can also be used on the iPod 3G. So first of all, we're going to be doing a startup test, and while these do start up, I'm going to just be talking about just the overall of me finding this device. So I was really lucky. I found this on LetGo for around 80 bucks. And I'm just going to take off the case for this video's purpose so you guys don't go off and say somehow this is not a real 4. This is a real 4. You have the little antenna bar here. It has a little bit of wear on the on the sides, and we'll just see which one powers on. And of course this powers on first, followed by that one. Now I'm going to be showing you guys the back right here with the model number and everything, just so you guys can check it out on the Apple site. Definitely right there, the model number. So I'm going to actually, turn on the volume, and in order for you guys to see, and sorry for the actual focus problem. So here, of course, I have my iPod second generation. This was my old device that I used to use before I got my iPod fourth generation, which I just recently did a screen replacement. Now, the first thing you have to keep in mind is if you're going to be running an iOS 4 device that is older, for example, the one like the 3G and the 2G iPod, you're going to be constantly, stuck with the old hardware, the terrible, pixel density, and just the overall performance. I mean, this is not a good device to run iOS 4. It definitely has terrible app support, and games like Angry Birds just do not run, and if you try to install them, it will tell you that the hardware is not supported. Now, if you take an iPhone 4 running iOS 4, it is definitely usable. If you're a person like me and only uses YouTube and Angry Birds and stuff like that, it works. Now, the version number is right here in settings, and I will definitely show you right now if I go to general on both of them. In the about, don't mind the name right there. It was just the previous owners. I just didn't get around changing the name. So you can definitely see 4.2.1. These are the identical versions. Now this one did not get updated, the last version of iOS 4. And honestly, Apple, I see why this thing is really not capable of running it. For one, you cannot add a background. It's just solid black, and you do not have the multitask. What the double click takes you is to a shortcut. Mine is set to music, but you could definitely set it to home or to search and other functions like that. So definitely that's a downgrade for that. Another thing that this thing does not have is obviously a camera. That's mostly hardware, but I'm just going to say this thing does not support FaceTime, whereas this one, although it does not support FaceTime, you could definitely take more selfies and even install Skype and actually use it on this. And that is definitely a plus when it comes to iOS 4 on this. It is definitely a usable firmware, and honestly, I love using old Steve Jobs firmwares. They're just really nostalgic and definitely usable. Most people complain that you can't get new apps, and that's true. And for me, if you don't use social media and just do like normal games, especially I like to use old games like Angry Birds, or even like older version of Subway Surfers. I don't know if that's actually available, but it is definitely worth it. I mean, think about it. You can send text, call, check the weather, photos. Everything works so much faster. And if you we're definitely gonna try out a Safari test. So I'm just gonna go and clear the history on both of them, and I X out all the pages, and I'm gonna clear all the history just to show that nothing is open. And after that, I'm just gonna go to the bookmarks, and I'm actually gonna search up Apple, and we're gonna see which one actually loads up first. You can definitely see they're on the same Wi-Fi network and the same distance away. So, actually that wasn't fair. I accidentally tapped him at the different time, but let's try that again and just Apple at the same time. Now you can definitely see the iPhone 4 really outperforms the iPod 2G because the hardware is so much better. So definitely a phone to own on the first firmware is good. And as I said before, app support is the only thing that drags this down. Nothing else really matters when it comes to having a phone on a firmware. The firmware really doesn't, doesn't do anything except just, show the compatibility of apps. And if you want to just listen to music, that's perfect too. Nothing else is bad on this. Of course, this one doesn't even support iBooks. That is how bad this app support is on this. So if you have an iPod 2 or 3G, then obviously iOS 4 isn't for you. But if you have a device like an iPod 3, an iPhone 3GS, or even an iPhone 4, then it's obviously a good iOS software to run. It is going to be running so smooth, so fast, and definitely not as slow as crap OS iOS 7. Yes, I got that from the Apple buyer. Subscribe to him. I'll leave his channel in the description. Also makes good videos about iOS like this. But I just wanted to mention that yes, this is a good iPhone. Just don't update it. That's the only thing that slows it down. And iOS itself, honestly, in 2017, for most people, it's going to be unusable. But if you're a simple person like me and all you use is YouTube or the internet browser, then you're going to be fine. This is going to be a great phone with great battery life and actually an okay camera. I'm not going to say it's a good camera because it's not. It's one of the first selfie cameras and the back camera isn't as good. But hey, at least it has a flash in comparison to other iPhones. So if you're on a budget and you want to get this phone, I think it's an okay phone, especially if it's owned on a previous firmware before 7. So it's not only limited to iOS 7. I think another firmware along those lines is also good. So I really wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this short little video. I know it was short, but I just wanted to mention that this phone itself is actually a gem. It is actually a really good phone to own on this firmware. And just to see how Apple degrades this phone is just sad. So don't be a victim of that and keep your phone on a stock OS because you're gonna end up with a crappy old iPod like this that can't even load pages. Like goddamn, this is so slow. But yeah, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.